So greetings once again for our December Speaker Series event. I'm Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer, and I welcome you on behalf of Anton. Let us get comfortable where we are for a moment so that I can pray us in. So I invite you to just take a deep breath, lovingly release thoughts of what happened earlier today, thoughts of later today or tomorrow, so that we can just be fully present in the lusciousness of this moment. And as we are, we remind ourselves that there's only one power, presence, mind, life, and intelligence, and that is God. Spirit, the universe, the infinite, the divine, our higher power, whatever we choose to call it. And we come together in gratitude today for this organization we call Anton, for this amazing technology we call Zoom, for the opportunity to be together, to learn and to grow and to be reminded of the truth of who we are. We are so grateful for the opportunity to have Cynthia with us today. So I wrap our time together in gratitude, love, and light, and together we say, and so it is. So it is my pleasure to introduce our beloved Anton Vice President and Speaker Series Coordinator, Reverend Ali Benjamin.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry, and welcome to everyone. It's so good to be here to meet as we do once a month here for our speaker series. And today is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to open our hearts and to meet a beautiful soul that will give us a wonderful gift for the holiday season. And self-care is so important. And during this time of year where maybe we're not getting together with family like we usually do, that responsibility to care for self falls on our shoulders. And I know that Cynthia's gift for us today will be an absolute blessing. So a couple of years ago, I was at the Big Sky Retreat and I met Cynthia. She was one of our keynote speakers and gave an amazing keynote talk and sang and inspired us all. And I thought her energy, her light, her leadership, and her beauty would inspire us, the affiliated New Thought Network. Last year, or this year, we adopted a new mission statement, and that is to unite the New Thought movement through conscious evolution. And we're expanding consciousness, and all the content that we share with our membership is to support you on your spiritual path. And so choosing Cynthia, and especially on this day, and I know it's her son's birthday today, is a very special gift for us. Cynthia's been a thought leader. She's been part of the New Thought movement for many years. Many of you know her and are familiar with her work as an author, a teacher, a leader, an actor, a facilitator. She's embarked on some wonderful programs, and I was reading on her website, her mission is to inspire individual leaders and organizations to awaken to their full potential, creating conscious awareness and powerful transformation. And her vision, and listen to this, a world where human beings are living healthy, fulfilled, and purpose-driven lives. I know that this is true for all of us. And so it's without further ado that I welcome beautiful Reverend Cynthia James. Thank you for being our guest today, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you, Ali. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be with you. And I love that I get to talk about my passion. So it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah. So tell us, maybe we can break the ice. Maybe you can tell us something that we might be surprised to know about you. Maybe something that people don't know about you. What can you tell us about you that might lift our hearts this morning?
Well, I was Miss Minnesota Universe in 1973, and no one Black had ever held that title in Minnesota.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's something. That's something I didn't know. So, you've had a passion and a calling your whole life, I would imagine. Um, how did that show up in your early childhood? How did this deeper calling to serve humanity, or to be a presence, to be a light, to be Miss Universe? No.
Well, there was duality going on because I grew up in a challenging environment. My biological father was an alcoholic and floated in and out. My stepfather was, he was a wife beater and a pedophile, and there was a lot of violence. And in the midst of that, my sanity came from creativity. I would sing and dance through the house. I would make up plays. I would gather all my cousins and we would do performances. And I kept saying, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to be a world traveler. And my family thought, oh, you are a little crazy. We'll let her have that, but that's not going to happen, because I was talking about, I loved Nancy Wilson, and I was going to sing like Nancy Wilson, and I was going to make all these recordings. And my family was like, she's a little delusional, but if it makes her happy, do that. And so, but what I realized today is that was my sanctuary. That's how I could go in and really take care of myself, because the family was out of control. They couldn't take care of me. And so now today, I know that I tapped into the creativity of the universe, and that tapped me into the place where angels, teachers, guides, avatars, light beings, whatever you choose to call them, were really giving me messages that I would be okay.
Beautiful. So that early family situation, and your desire, you're having being tuned into a deeper vision. Do you think that that's what sort of sparked you on your spiritual path? When did your conscious spiritual path start, would you say?
Well, that was evolving because, I was brought up as African Methodist Episcopal. And so say that quickly and not get your tongue tied. But that's how I grew up. So there was always spirituality, and I come from a lineage of women who were prophetic dreamers, and we were taught pretty early, don't talk about that out in the world because they'll think you're kind of crazy. But so the spirituality was there, but I was always questioning. I was the queen at my church, and I was like, well, if God is love, how come he's so mad at us? How come we're in trouble all the time? And they would tell me, go to the side and sit down. And I was, because of the craziness of my childhood, relationships were a path of discovery for me. And I was in the middle of a relationship crisis, and somebody said, oh, you should go to this church called Guidance. They didn't tell me that it was religious science. They didn't tell me. They said, you need to go there. And I thought, well, anything's better than how horrible I feel right now. And I walked into the building, and Daniel Morgan was the minister, and he was up on the platform, and I'd never seen anything like him. He was speaking without notes and with passion. And the thing that stuck with me is he said, you are the captain of your ship. You get to create the life you want. And I thought, is that true? And it stuck me enough that I would go back and I would take classes and stuff. The practitioners at that time were Michael Beckwith and Nirvana Gale and Arthur Chang. I mean, all the, and I realized that I had been guided into an awakening for my consciousness, because I was like a sponge, and it felt like it was a life-saving moment for me.
Mm, wow. And so you've had your whole adult life in this, well, your childhood being on, being supported in your family spirituality, and then waking up to New Thought or Science Mind, or has really is woven into what your life is now, as and what you do for women. On your website, I notice so many programs and so many interesting opportunities for women. When did your focus come to be primarily on supporting females?
Well, it was really interesting. I mean, I was always, when I was doing classes at Agape or different places, the majority of people would come were women. And when I was associate minister at Mile High Church in Denver, Roger put me in charge of the women's ministry. And so I created these monthly things called Tea Talks and all of these programs for women, retreats and all of this. And I was always writing books and things. And a social media person said, "Are you aware that between 75 and 80% of the people that follow you are women?" I was like, "No." And she said, "You might want to think about that." And so I started doing, little things for women. And then I wrote, a few years ago, I wrote the book, I Choose Me, The Art of Being a Phenomenally Successful Woman at Home and at Work, because I was seeing that I feel like women are emerging on the planet, that our voices are coming forward, that we're being more courageous and brave in the way in which we're moving, but we don't always know how to manage the enculturation of women and how women have been held down and not supported. And so I thought, well, I joined with a woman friend of mine who's had her own business, and we created Women Creating Our Futures so that we could create a lot of programs and conferences and things for women to come and A, be with like-minded women, but B, to future cast, to dream big about how they want to be on the planet. And it's been incredible. Our 6th annual retreat is going to be in January, but it will be virtual because nobody can fly and get into a room without being 6 feet apart. So that's exciting. We're doing something new.
Yeah, beautiful. So in your years of working with women, and given today's topic, which is self-care, what's presented itself, or what's made itself clear in working with women, and do they take care of themselves? Have we been so focused on outside of ourselves, on pleasing others and the family and our business, or that we've forgotten? Do you find that that's a common theme in working with women, that they've forgotten to take care of themselves?
Oh, totally. When I was doing research for the book, women were still property into the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
And we were to take care of the house, take care of the husband, take care of the children. And even if we worked outside, the jobs outside of the home mirrored those kinds of things. And so when women's suffragettes and those things started happening, the culture was not happy. We got imprisoned, we got beat up. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that went on, but that message that had gone down through the lineage was still encoded in the DNA of the feminine. And so we feel like we have to take care of everybody else first and then get to us. And if we don't, we feel guilty. And if we don't, then other people make us feel guilty. And we're basically kind of told that our frequency is amplified the more we take care of others. And I say that's backwards. Our frequency is higher when we're healthy and vital and vibrant and open and awake and connected. And so, the women in my programs, we have a 3-month mastermind program, and we have an entrepreneur program for women entrepreneurs. And self-care and spirituality are an integral part of those programs. Because a lot of women, when we're so busy taking care of others, we will stop doing our spiritual practice because we don't have time. we will stop doing things for ourselves because we don't have time. But when you take care of yourself, wow, something happens in terms of your frequency, your immune system, everything goes up. And I will tell you how I know that personally. I was at Mile High and I loved it there. I mean, I oversaw the music, the women's ministry, GLBT. I mean, everything I was overseeing, I loved. And my husband said to me, you know, you're looking kind of tired. And I was like, oh no, I have manifested the life of my dreams. Everything is fabulous, right? And he kept saying it. And so finally I said, all right, fine, I'm going to go to the doctor and I'll have a test. And when the doctor came back with the test, he said, I want you to look at this number. And I said, what is it? He said, you're headed towards Addison's disease. And I was like, what is that? And he said, adrenal failure. And I was like, well, that can't be right. You know, I'm doing what I love. I have a great spiritual practice. I work out. Life is good. And he said, well, whatever, you know, you need to quit your job. And I'm like, I can't quit my job. I'm a minister, right? You don't quit your job. And so I went to Roger and I said, listen, I need to pull back a little bit. And I told him everything. And he said, let me talk to you tomorrow. And so the next day he came into my office and he says, I've been in prayer and you're playing with fire. He said, I've watched too many ministers burn out. I've watched too many ministers not take care of themselves. You're going on sabbatical. I was like, no, I'm not. He goes, this is not negotiable. You're going on sabbatical. So he made me go on a 3-month sabbatical. And it was one of the greatest gifts of my life, because in that time, I had to be with me. I had to be still. I couldn't get on the computer. I couldn't get on the phone. And I started noticing the patterns of my family, all the women who had been abused and traumatized. They left overweight, ill, depressed. You know, I was headed down that pathway. At that point, I was close to 30 pounds heavier than I am in this moment. And I had to, in that moment, decide, I'm either going to take care of myself and love myself, or I am not going to fulfill my mission and my destiny here. So I changed everything. I changed the way I was eating, and I wasn't eating bad, but I changed, and I hired a trainer because I knew if I just went to the gym by myself, I'd find reasons not to go back. And so, I changed everything. I up-leveled my spiritual practice. Dalai Lama said, you know, I think he meditates like 4 hours a day until there's something big, and then he goes to 6 hours a day or something. You know, it's like, so I up-leveled it. And what I realized then is that my energy level went up. My ability, my opening to downloads from the infinite expanded. I mean, it was on every level. And so what I realized in that moment is that my body sat me down because I wouldn't listen, because it was telling me to rest. It was telling me to take better care of myself. And I just kept pushing through my desire to be of service. And also, to be honest, it's how I got my validation in the world.
Mm. Mm. That's beautiful. So that forced respite, the little bit, the dark night of the soul, a little bit, really opens you up to be able to hear that guidance more consistently and more dependably, and follow it, develop the discernment, and follow that. So many times when we think of self-care, we think of, a you know, mani-pedi, or a you know, walk on the beach, or you've worked with women and suggesting this kind of radical self-care. Can you give us some ideas of how to practice radical self-care that aren't just the obvious, the ones that we might, you know, if we were to list our top 20 ways we might care for ourselves, what are some of the not so obvious ways that we can? And it's not just for women. I know we've got men and women listening to this recording and here with us. What are some of the less obvious ways that we can practice radical self-care?
Well, first of all, let me just say I am a spa person. I love going to the spa. I love going to the beach. I mean, I definitely am one of those people. But here's the thing. First of all, it starts with your dedication and commitment to your spiritual work. Now, that can be prayer, that can be meditation, that can be visioning, that can be journaling. There is a professor in Austin, Texas, whose name is Penny Baker, who wrote a book and did all this research on writing to heal. That if 15 minutes a day at night, write down your feelings, and not just venting, but keep going deeper and deeper to what you're feeling, it has impact on the immune system. It has impact on the way in which you think. I mean, it's really powerful. So journaling is powerful. The other thing is, how about standing in a field of gratitude where you are grateful? You know, I mean, Oprah had this thing, 10 gratitudes a day. And I do write those things, but my husband and I have a ritual. And at night, we have been doing this now for 21 years, where at night, we each write down 10 things we're grateful for the day, and we share those things, and then we acknowledge one another for excuse me, for 3 different things that we appreciate about ourselves, and 3 things we appreciate about others.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so simple and easy, yet so deep and profound, and creates a connection between you and your partner.
Yes, and we do it even if we're in states of pissosity. And it's like, because I mean, anybody listening knows that not every relationship is bliss 24 hours a day, forever and ever. So even when we're in those states when we're like not happy or upset about something, we do that, and it automatically changes the field.
Beautiful. I forgot to mention, if anyone has a question that they would like to pose to Cynthia, go ahead and write it in the chat. We're not going to answer them all now, but we really want to know what's on your hearts and what questions you have. So go ahead and put those in the chat, and we'll have some time at the end, and Cynthia will address those. So this year's been crazy for all of us. The last 9+ months has just been unbelievable. How have you navigated this? And you talk about doing things differently, and your conference or your retreat's going to be online in January. So you've, like many of us, we had to alter the way we do things. What have been some of the things that you've done to help navigate your ship during these turbulent, stormy waters?
Well, yeah, it's been a game changer. The first thing is, the impact of the virus is undeniable. And for me, I feel like what COVID did was bring us a moment of sitting humanity down and saying, what do you really stand for? What's really important to you? Can you walk your talk? And so I had bookings all around the country and in Europe through 2020. I was taking a group to the south of France to do the Mary Magdalene path. I was going to Africa to facilitate a women's leadership conference. Everything stopped. And I was like, oh, I had an office in Lakewood. And so I would go to that office 3 days a week. And then and I would also do some virtuals. But at that time, nobody could go into offices, and nobody wanted to go into offices. So all of my clients came onto Zoom. I started doing all my work on Zoom. And from March to June, it became pretty clear for my clients, like, we don't want to go back to the office. I mean, and so here I am now, I'm home, I'm paying for this office, and my speaking engagements have stopped. And so I went into some serious meditation and visioning, and I asked the universe, because I really believe in the power of questions, what am I to do here? Who are my strategic alliances? How am I to be in high service? I really started adding that into my morning spiritual practice. And then in my meditation in July, because I had another year on my, over a year on my office lease, in my meditation, it dropped in and it said, negotiate out of your contract. And I'm like, really? How's that gonna work, right? And so I called up the owner of the building and I said, I'd love to have a conversation because here's the thing, my clients are not coming there and I can't afford to just keep paying for this office. He said, yeah. He said, a few of our offices have been abandoned. He said, what are you thinking? And I, out of my mouth came, how about I pay through the end of September and you let me out of the last year? He said, let me talk to my partner. And he came back a day later and said, okay, because I'd rather you do that than abandon the building. And that's when I went, oh, this could be a win-win for everybody. So now all of my clients are online. And what that did was it opened up people coming to me from different parts of the world online that couldn't fly to Denver. My entrepreneur program for women that we met 4 times a year in Denver to work with those women. And now we went online and now it's going to be an online program and people from around the country and around the world are actually wanting to apply because now they can come because they couldn't just fly to Denver. So what it's done for me is it's realized that, what if that thing that we teach that everything is for you, that there's possibility and potentiality in everything. What if that's true? And what if this moment in time was the opportunity to step into that field and say, use me in a more powerful, more profound way, use me. And so the number of invitations, including this one, to come and speak have come from different places. And I'm extraordinarily grateful because I get to be a conduit through which spirit speaks and moves, whether it's in spiritual communities or coaching companies and leaders in companies. It's all expanded beyond anything I would have thought in 2019.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Everything has changed. Everything's expanded, and we're now given an opportunity to be with ourselves and to really ask those questions. Mm-hmm. What is important? What will give my life more meaning? And yeah. So I mentioned at the beginning that our vision, our mission statement is about uniting the New Thought movement. And we as an organization have been sitting in this question of what is New Thought? If we're at the growing edge of evolution, of conscious evolution, what is New Thought? Where's New Thought headed? And I know that you've been very, very involved with Centers for Spiritual Living and in leadership, New Thought leadership. And so what's your thought about New Thought? What is New Thought becoming? And can we unite the New Thought movement? How do you see that happening from your unique perspective?
Well, first of all, I think that ancient wisdom and new thought principles are evolving. I think we are in a co-creative time in history where we can embrace ancient wisdom and things that have gone on throughout time that are powerful and expansive. And let me just say, New Thought, religious science saved my life. I was a crazy person. And so I am extraordinarily grateful for the principles. But I think what is happening is, especially if we want to bring in the younger people on the planet, then we have to find ways to teach them the principles, but to teach them how to use them in practical ways for their health and their well-being. I think that's the, because when I was going through ministerial school, I could quote you all the principles, but when stuff, was blowing up in my face and I was in crisis, it was like, I had to find out, what are the practical ways? It's kind of the reason I've written some of the books. And in 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 um in my life, I used to oversee the practitioners at Mile High, and we had a couple of suicides, and we had a few people who were really ill who didn't tell us because they didn't want people to think they were flunking spirituality, that they weren't using the principles. And what I realized in that moment was that we don't really understand what this means. We don't understand that we are interconnected, that we're here to support each other, that we're here to love each other, that we're here to honor each other. And if you're going through a crisis, that's the time to reach out. That's the time to ask for support. And so I think what's on the horizon for us is we are being asked to love, support, and honor each other, but not just preach to the choir. I do a lot of stuff in corporations and with leaders, and I use principles. I just language it different because they don't want to hear God and they don't, they don't want to hear, certain words. So I open with a centering, right? And I teach them, practical tools for their health and well-being. But that's spiritual principles. I mean, I'm using spiritual principles. So I think that it's like, how do we one of the things, I'm a part of the Transformational Leadership Council with Jack Canfield and Marcy Scheimoff and some other people. And one of the things is like, how do we bring the voices that aren't necessarily in our centers to the stages of life to talk about their principles and what they've done, because actually they're using the spiritual principles that we, that's Wayne Dyer did it. I mean, they're all doing that. How do we all come together and begin to talk to the masses about the power within them? Because I think people are seeking spirituality, not necessarily church. They're seeking spirituality. So how do we create experiences and events that enliven them? One of the things that we're doing at my women's conference this year is I invited 5 New Thought singers from around the country to create songs for women that had positive messages. And then I asked dance troupes from around the country to create dances that had messages for women, but with positive spins. So, and then I've invited people for panels and stuff that aren't necessarily in the New Thought movement, but are speaking those principles so that we can open the field. And I think that's the call, because I mean, I don't know how old everybody is here, but I'm no longer a spring chicken. So chances are I won't be on the planet another 40 years. So what legacy can I leave? What legacy can we leave to enliven the masses to remember who they are?
Beautiful. Yeah, it really is. We're seeing that it's what we thought was our special teachings, let's say 30 years ago, are now really mainstream with Oprah and Dr. Wayne, as you're sharing. And so I guess that green growing edge of our evolution is now really sharing the good news, not just at our churches. We're not able to meet anymore. So it's like, how do we do that in our everyday lives, and not just the special times that we're together in our church classrooms or whatnot. So what are you looking forward to for 2021 and beyond? What can you leave us with as ways to some of your personal visions and maybe some other ways we can practice self-care?
Well, thank you for asking that question. The Academy of Women Emerging, which is my entrepreneurial program, we had our last class, and one of the things we asked them was to write a becoming statement. Mm-hmm. And so, we don't ask them to do anything we don't do. And so I wrote that I am becoming the premier voice and presence for the global awakening of women. And so that's part of what I want for 2021. And so it's in the programs that I'm doing, it's in the speaking that I'm doing, it's in the writing that I'm doing, because I feel like we all know that we are masculine and feminine. We all know that. And I think that if we can find a way for the masculine and the feminine to balance, extraordinary things can occur. But that can only occur if women can begin to stand in their own power and their own truth.
Mm. I just had an idea. Would you be willing to lead us through a little process to tune into that "What am I becoming?" statement for ourselves?
Sure,
That would
sure.
be
All right, so how about we just sit back in our seats and begin to breathe and begin to recognize that the chair in which you're sitting is supporting you without effort. And there goes the universe. It supports us without effort. And so the breath, the inhale, I invite to be love, and the exhale, I invite to be light. So we're breathing in love and we're exhaling light. And it begins to fill our body. It begins to fill our space. It begins to permeate out in the city in which we live, love and light. And across this nation, love and light. And across the waters to other countries, love and light. Absolutely. Just this group of people, we are engulfing this entire planet with love and light, and it is permeating out into the universe. And so from this space, we ask, who am I becoming? Who have I come here to be? What have I come here to share? Who am I becoming? And so we listen without judgment because we don't have to know how to get there. We simply ask, who am I becoming? And we listen. And if a thought or a color or a word or a phrase comes in, just open your eyes and just jot it down, because it may not come in as a full statement in this moment. Who am I becoming? And so we take this moment to ask the universe to fill in the spaces, to give us insights and revelations in our awakened states, in our meditations, in our sleep states, to absolutely create the fully orbed vision of who we are becoming. And the commitment then is to be obedient and to open and be available to allow that becoming to move from the invisible to the visible. So we just give thanks in this moment for the beginning of the question, who am I becoming? And we trust the process and allow it to be.
Thank you. That was beautiful. and for all of us that haven't taken any time because we're so busy serving others, and we haven't taken that time to do a little check-in with ourselves, with our soul, with our hearts. I know that that part of us is smiling at the moment because we've given some attention to what our heart wants to express and the light that we came here to bring forth. So I'd like to, if anyone has any questions for Cynthia, or maybe if you'd like to share the answer to that extremely potent question, who am I becoming? I think it would be lovely for us to maybe hear some of that, so we can support each other in consciousness in knowing that becoming. So again, if you have a question for Cynthia, or if you'd like to share, give voice to that which that answer to the question, who am I becoming? I know that that will support all of us in realizing our own next step, our own becoming. So yeah, and you can just let us, fill us in on what else is downloading in you at this moment, Cynthia, while people build up some courage to actually ask a question or share what their answer was.
Well, what I would like to say is, you are here by a divine appointment. Why wouldn't you bring your voice?
Mm. Yeah. When I was asking myself the question, when you guided us through that, I got some greater clarity on what I'm here to do, because I've been in that question, like many of us, that our ministries have radically altered over the last 9 or so months. You know, what next? What am I becoming? And you know, many of us are so sort of programmed to doing, to staying busy, to keeping the, you know, whatever our body of work or our usual things in our lives, we're sort of programmed to do those things. So at this particular time, there's not so much doing, and so it's an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. And so this question is really powerful. Did someone write in a question?
No, Affiliated New Thought Network said, dedication and commitment to spiritual practice stand in a field of gratitude of ourselves and others. And also, I am allowing peace and satisfaction and gratitude. And Abigail said, I love the who I am becoming rather than what's next.
That's beautiful. You know, I read on your website, and I just realized it really goes with this, that you embody the quote, I am not what I have done, I am what I have become. Yeah,
Right.
that's something to ponder.
Mm-hmm.
Who have I become? And how has this 9 months of retreat or reset
Mm-hmm.
helped us to really clarify that for ourselves?
Absolutely.
How would you answer that? Who have you become over the last 9 months in deeper clarity and definition and crispness?
More present, more available, a deeper listener. I just did a TED talk, and it was about the fact that the past doesn't define us. And so for me, becoming present has been one of the greatest gifts of this whole last 9 months. It's like, because I can only be where I am in the moment.
Mm. Yeah, great. All right. Well, I would love it if you would close our time together with a treatment, with an activation or a prayer. That would be really such a blessing and such a gift, and a way that we can receive some of the radical care that you give to others. So thank you.
Thank you. So we just take a moment to absolutely sink into the awareness that there is one power, one presence, one life, infinite, awe-inspiring, ever-evolving, this presence, some call God, spirit, universe, higher power. It doesn't matter what you call it. What we know is that it is a field of infinite possibility and potentiality. And it is the field, the essence of which we are made. We are manifest from that energy. So therefore, all the power, all the light, all the love, all the grace, all the harmony, all the peace resides within us. And we get to radiate it in every single moment. So how wonderful to be together in this moment where two or more are gathered, there's great power. So to be gathered together in this moment, absolutely standing in the awareness that we are open to deeper and more powerful self-care, we are open and available for more alliance, for more unity. Because the truth is that we are all here to bring the light and the love, the divine to the planet. So how wonderful that we open to the possibilities of doing it together in extraordinary ways. So what I know is that this organization is filled with love and possibility and potentiality and is a magnet for goodness. And so what we do in this moment is we stand in the awareness not only of who we are becoming individual, but who are we becoming as an organization? Who are we becoming as humanity? Who are we becoming as we lift up this planet, as we lift up people on this planet, as we lift up those that are suffering? We are a reminder that they are loved, held, supported, guided, and nurtured in every single moment beyond circumstances, beyond appearances. And so I give thanks in this moment for the opportunity to speak this word, because what I know is something powerful is occurring. That something beautiful is moving from the invisible to the visible even now as I speak. And so what I know is that as we stand here as a place of heart and love, amazing grace bathes us. So I can release this word knowing that we stand in an expectancy of good. And because we do, miraculous unfoldings appear. We allow it to be and say, and so it is. Amen.
So it is. Amen. Ah, thank you. So how can people get in touch with you? Can you and possibly learn more about you, the books that you've written, the programs that you offer?
Yeah, CynthiaJames.net is my website, and I have a store, and I have gifts for people, and people can make appointments with me, and all of my programs for women are on there. And I'm grateful to have been here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. We are blessed by your bright, shining light. And thank you, everyone, for joining in today. You'll be able to watch this recording back. We'll have it on our website within the next few days. And thank you so much, Cynthia. And thanks to everyone. Thank you, Jerry. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Great pleasure to get to know you. Appreciate
Thank
your time.
you so much, Jerry.
Jerry, if you want to share that screen.
What's that?
I had something for everyone. I just thought if you'd let me share the screen.
Oh, sure. Let me stop recording and then we'll do that. Hold on.